Okay, so the stream is going, but apparently there's no audio coming in from the computer. So let's just see what's okay. Why is this not okay? Let's see. Is there still? Oh fucking hell! I do this. I just okay. Let's transition over quickly. Here we go. I don't do this often enough. I every time I do this, there's some technical issue, and have to figure out what the issue is and yeah, how to fix it and everything. It's yeah. Um, but we need audio because we are reacting to something today. So let me see if I can figure that shit out. Here, audio setup. What's the problem? Offline device. Why is there an offline? Display audio. No, that's something else. What now? Oh, okay. I just had to tick a thing. Okay. Hopefully, I'm because I would like to do this more often again. So hopefully next time I'll just have it figured out. But whatever, we're here, we're ready. I guess there's just a couple minutes of no audio at the beginning now with the beautiful Logic UI. You know, that's not. What can you do? Yeah. Uh, what's okay? I'm just not gonna look at this. Mm. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna mute myself for a second. I need to check out the stream on my phone. Okay, you know what? It seems good enough on my phone, so I'm just gonna ignore YouTube telling me that there's a problem that needs fixing. That's just fuck you, YouTube. That's just what we do. Okay. Today we are reacting to Venice Offense Justified, Analyzing Norms of Respect and Offensive Content by oliSUNvia, I don't know why people say we. I'm the one doing it, and there's not even anybody watching, so who I will be. No, who. Oh. Fuck. Okay, my beer just spilled. 1 second, sorry. Okay. Fix that. Okay. See, it's always chaotic around here. That's what we do. It is what it is. Okay. So today I am reacting to oliSUNvia, When is offense justified? Analyzing norms of respect and offensive content. The reason I'm reacting to this is because I have reacted to oliSUNvia before. I like her videos. I don't really watch them outside of these streams, but I always think they're interesting, and they always work as a great vehicle to discuss, I don't know, whatever, interesting topics, and so on. And there's no movie I've recently watched where I really wanted to talk about it, or at least I would have to watch it again, and this is kind of a spontaneous thing, so this is what we're doing. Okay, and later, maybe, depending on the time, because it's 1:18 a.m. for me right now, but depending on the time and my energy levels, we might start working on some music. We'll see. Or I will. Again. Okay, but this is what I'm doing right now. Okay.
Imagine a classroom discussion of Lawrence v. Texas, the U.S. Supreme Court's landmark decision holding sodomy laws unconstitutional.
Okay. I do not know anything about this because so this is a law or a Supreme Court decision that deems sodomy laws unconstitutional.
Texas, the U.S. Supreme Court's landmark decision holding sodomy laws unconstitutional. One student argues that the court's ruling was correct because a state may not base its criminal laws on bare moral disapproval. Another student responds that if that principle were sound, polygamy and bestiality would also be immune from punishment. A third student chimes in to observe that those comparisons are offensive, even harmful, and urges or intimates that the second should apologize.
Okay, so I'm guessing she'll say the same thing here, but here's my thoughts. Here's my thoughts. The first argument does make sense to me, but the second argument kind of does as well. So what this person here, the next person, does seems okay, sorry, I was distracted. What the third person does here seems like the worst thing you can do to me, or just a pretty bad thing you can do in this situation, because instead of addressing the points, he goes over to moral disagreement. He takes offense to those comparisons and doesn't instead of disagreeing with these comparisons on any factual basis, which to the listener, or definitely at least to me, sounds like they, number three, don't have anything factual to back it up. I guess that's what I'm gonna say for now.
What should happen next? This is the imaginary scenario that philosopher Benjamin Idelson considers in his recent paper, The Etiquette of Equality. It's representative of scenarios where one person says something that, logically and semantically speaking, is unproblematic, but on some moral level, it ends up offending others. How and when does this happen? How do we figure out who is right or wrong? One natural thought is that it depends on whether the offense that the third student took, or supposed others would take, is justified. In one sense, we can say that the second student is just performing a reductio.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, I'll just let it play for now.
Which is when you criticize an argument by showing how it leads to an absurd conclusion. For example, when Socrates said, humans are defined as featherless animals with 2 legs, and Diogenes brought him a featherless chicken to prove him wrong. Similarly, the second student is logically showing how the first student's principle, a state may not base its criminal laws on bare moral disapproval, leads to absurd consequences, such as making bestiality immune to punishment. There's nothing offensive about that.
Yeah.
Quote, "Yet I suspect many will share my instinct that this point of logic is not all that matters from a moral point of view. If many people interpret the second student as making a moral equivalence between same-sex intercourse and bestiality and feel insulted by it, then even if their offense might be mistaken, it's still important to investigate why this feeling of offense happens."
Okay, yeah, So, yeah, okay, so let me think about this for a second. Yeah, so the statement, the second statement being offensive does not impact its validity at all. However, if even if a lot of people are offended in the audience, and some people may say then, okay, that's their problem. That's not what the second student was saying, right? But then we come to the second layer of the whole debate thing, where we can't only take into account the validity of statements, we also have to take into account rhetoric, right? Even if this argument is correct, if it's seen as offensive by like a significant amount of the listeners, it will not have its intended effect, I guess.
In fact, some people might think that the very feeling of offense can be a good reason to blame the second student for acting wrongly. But we should be careful. The more we treat misunderstandings as genuine signs of harm, the less we are able to talk to one another. It can cause the very people we want to create a caring space for to feel increasingly offended and to have a false idea of who is out to get them. More on this later. Now, whether you think the third student's offense was justified or not, whether you think the second student is blameworthy or not, the point is that there is some ambiguity in how to treat this scenario. Navigating situations of offense can be very difficult. Part of what makes it difficult to talk about the complexities of offense is how politicized it has become, especially when offenses are identity related. Which makes total sense given that offensive statements exist within a context of systemic injustices. But we should talk about it. How we communicate with one another and how we signal respect and disrespect is extremely important to get clear on. Thus, we're going to follow Idelson's footsteps and approach this topic both sympathetically and critically. But please don't take this video to be an end-all be-all. As with all my videos, they should jumpstart your journey to learn more, not to give you a definite answer. Throughout this video, I'm going to use—
Okay. And I will attempt to hopefully some degree of success. We'll attempt to take this as a jumping off point as well for discussion and to sprinkle in my thoughts on it. We'll see how it goes. I have not seen this video before, by the way. This is and if we get 10 minutes in and I don't have anything to say, we'll stop and find another video or do something else. But I think there's a lot of stuff to discuss here. So I hope I'll be fine.
Some examples that you all gave me on Instagram. Follow me at oliSUNvia if you're so inclined to ground our reasoning in concrete cases. The first case I want to start with is this article written in 2014 called "Is it right to jail someone for being offensive on Facebook or Twitter?"
No. I mean, no, right? As soon as we talk about legality or jail time, I just lit another cigarette while I still was smoking one. Oh my god. Okay. As soon as we're talking about like legality, I feel like we have to— I'm not a free speech absolutist. I don't think anybody is, but we have to go pretty broad. Uh, like I feel like the line has to be drawn somewhere around calling for violence or inciting violence. Maybe there's a step before. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure. If we're talking about willingly spreading misinformation or knowingly spreading misinformation, I'm kind of iffy on that because on the one hand, it does stifle discussion. It's not beneficial towards discussion, but on the other hand, we might get into murky territories there when we have to start deciding what is misinformation and what is knowingly spread as misinformation, and what might be a gray area or what might be just a belief that somebody holds that's not correct. But being offensive on Facebook or Twitter definitely does not, at least not satisfy my standard for behavior that should be illegal.
It garnered a decent amount of attention, as most media remotely related to free speech does. But basically, there was a teacher named Anne Maguire who was stabbed to death by one of her students. Jake Newsome, a 21-year-old, posted on his Facebook page, "Personally, I'm glad that teacher got stabbed up. Feel sorry for that kid. He should have pissed on her too." A few days later,
Damn.
He was arrested, charged, and jailed for 6 weeks under the
Okay, goddamn. Yeah, I was just for a second I was thinking, does that count as inciting violence? Or I mean, that what's their name? Jake. Okay, so he's definitely glorifying it in a way, but I'm not like if this was a person with a big public platform, I'd feel more iffy about it, but it seems like it's just a random person. So I'm no, definitely not jail worthy for me. Although it's really really uncalled for, I guess. Really offensive.
or two. A few days later, he was arrested, charged, and jailed for 6 weeks under the 2003 Communications Act for sending, quote, "by means of a public electronic communications network, a message or other matter that is grossly offensive or of an indecent, obscene, or menacing nature." I read through the comments on this article, and there were definitely mixed reactions. Keep in mind that these are from 2014, but I think it reflects similar sentiments on the internet today. Some comments were appalled by the fact that people could get jailed for saying offensive things, that it was a violation of free speech. Of course, it isn't real internet discourse about free speech without someone making a comparison to Nazi tyranny, but there were also comments agreeing with the choice to jail the 21-year-old. They claimed that free speech doesn't include verbal abuse or the right to hurl insults at your mother walking down the street. Regardless of which camp you fall more into, I hope we can all agree with the first two sentences of this article. What follows is offensive, the facts are unattractive, and there is no hero in this story. This is going to be a reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
While the imaginary scenario with the students was about whether something is offensive or not, this debate about jailing people over offensive comments is about what the correct response to offensive behavior is, and at a more preliminary level, what the distinguishing feature of offensiveness is. Put another way, here are some different questions we can ask about a potentially offensive scenario. 1. Is it offensive? If we decide it is offensive, 2. What makes it offensive? And 3. How should we respond? To answer question 1, we often need to answer question 2, but I don't think that's always the case. Sometimes comments are
Okay, to answer question 1, we usually have to also answer question 2. I think that's what she says. But not always. Is it let's just let her talk. I need some more context here.
need to answer question 2, but I don't think that's always the case. Sometimes comments are so blatantly offensive that there is no disagreement on its offensive nature, such as the Facebook comments about the deceased teacher. But even after
Okay, sure, but then we still can ask ourselves and answer the question, why is it offensive, right? But she says we have to, but I'm not quite sure for we have to for what purpose, like with which goal in mind, I guess, is kind of what I'm wondering.
offensiveness is agreed upon, there's still room for discussion on what to do about it. I'll try to implicitly touch on these 3 questions throughout this video, though I will probably fail to adequately answer any of them. Hopefully you can all continue the discussion.
I don't like that. I don't like the need of people. Like, I'm not gonna light another cigarette. I have the cigarette I lit before. Okay. I like... We all should, like, hedge our statements, right? We shouldn't, especially people who create content and have an audience, should should hedge their statements. Should not be like, oh, this is definitely true. But I don't like the perceived need to denigrate yourself so much. Like, I probably won't be able to answer this question. Like, have some confidence, I guess, because she's pretty good at what she does from what I've seen. And if you don't think you can answer these questions adequately at all, then why are you even making the video, right? But okay.
I will probably fail to adequately answer any of them. Hopefully you can all continue the discussion down in the comment section. To begin tackling the ambiguity of offense, it's good to start from an intuition that people generally share. Offense is not synonymous with harm.
And
What?
Beatrice, really?
It's fucked up.
For the utilitarian John Stuart Mill, offenses are never harmful, and thus should never be regulated by the state. You can be offended by how bad someone smells in public, but it doesn't harm you. A homophobe can...
Well, that actually, if what I know is true, I think that when you smell something, particles of that thing actually enter your nose, and when something like is really stinks, that I imagine that could harm you. But okay, offense is never harmful. Seems like, if we count such psychological harm, which I would imagine we would, offensive things can be harmful, right? Harmful to your psyche, harmful to your development. Like, if you are gay and you experience severe homophobia throughout when you're a child, not physical, but verbally, mentally, whatever, that will harm you in your development, right? That might lead to a unhealthy relationship with your sexuality, and so on. So yeah.
be offended by seeing a gay couple kiss, but it'd be strange to say that the couple harmed them by kissing. So this gives us a potential answer to question 2, and consequently question 1. Something is offensive when it causes a state of mind that we dislike, such as disgust, discomfort, outrage, etc. But while there is a difference between harm and offense as concepts, people today tend to think that in practice, offense can be harmful. When someone offends people's aesthetic taste, the way Bianca seems to excel at, or violates norms of politeness, like engaging in too much PDA, it can be uncomfortable, unpleasant, but you can't say they're wrong in the moral sense. However, when someone offends our moral principles, our core values, or sense of self, it can seem harmful. For example, in 1977, when the American Nazi Party applied for a permit to parade through Skokie, Illinois, a largely Jewish neighborhood, that That seems pretty bad. So
So I think I liked my example better than hers, especially uh with the argument of it seems pretty bad. That doesn't really help us that much. Um yeah. Yeah. Because I could conceive of situations where that would be harmful, right? For sure. But we do live in a society. We do live in a democratic system, or at least the Americans do, and so do I in Switzerland, right? Where we have to be able to live with people expressing opinions that are extremely contrary to our own. But but that doesn't mean it cannot be harmful, I guess.
what's the difference between a harmful offense and a non-harmful one? Because this will affect how we respond to the situation. Well, harm can be defined in different ways, but I think we can go with James O. Young's definition as a setback to someone's interests. If
Huh. Okay. Sure.
you're offended by people rubbing their loving relationship in your face, it's reasonable for us to advise you to just look away or ignore them. But if someone broke your leg, it'd be really weird if the advice was to ignore it. You can't get to school or work,
Yeah.
you can't engage in a lot of activities, some of your important interests have been set back. So similarly, sometimes offenses can also set our interests back in a way that's harmful. For example, the biggest funder of the UK's Conservative Party, named Frank Hester, said that seeing Diane Abbott, Britain's longest-serving black MP, makes, quote, you just want to hate all black women because she's there, and that she should be shot. It would be much better
Ooh,
if she
God.
died. She's consuming resource. She's eating food that other people could eat. Hearing these statements from Frank, it doesn't
Okay,
seem...
so I don't know who this woman is, but I'd be hard pressed to think of anybody who I would say something like that about. Like, like maybe like a dictator or something. Sure, but okay. Uh, I'll I'll be right back. I need to pee. And since you didn't hear like the wonderful intro I have playing, I guess I'll just do this till I'm back. One sec. What's up? Okay. Give me a second. Boo boo boo. So, yeah. I don't think when the last time was I streamed. I think it was like ages ago, right? Was it before I went to? No. No, I think it was after that. Yeah, it was after that. It was after a stream I did with Red Devil Review or something. Okay. Never mind. Okay. I'll go pee for a sec. I'll be right back. Okay, so the sound's not coming through again. We'll leave it for now. I'll just put in the pause screen and. Okay, so the sound's not coming through again. I hope you didn't hear me double here. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I'll be back. Bye. Hello. Okay. I'm back. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Let's get back a little bit. But just back up just a little bit. And then I want to check if the audio.
Consuming
Okay.
resource.
Audio's coming through.
She's eating food that other people could eat. Hearing these statements from Frank, it doesn't seem so reasonable. It's objective, but when someone says they feel offended because something sounds racist, where's the harm? I don't see a bruise. They're just words. You're having a subjective reaction to them, but you can.
Okay, okay. let's take this piece by piece. I know for sure I'm gonna. Okay, yeah. So with physical harm, of course, it's clearer than with emotional harm, right? It's uh, it's pretty clear cut, but that doesn't mean that emotional harm cannot happen or cannot exist. I think that's like the first, like, pretty obvious thing, right? Then let's back up for a second.
Says they feel offended because something sounds racist. Where's the harm? I don't see a
I mean, the harm can happen. The harm can be or is or can be emotional or psychological, right? It's not. It's. I don't get this idea that harm can only ever be physical. Like, I don't think there's anybody who actually holds that position as soon as you probe them just a little bit. But I don't know.
bruise. They're just words. You're having a subjective reaction to them, but you can choose to close the article and ignore what he said. You can't even access other people's.
Yeah, okay, but sure, you can in this instant, but you still have seen it, and the reaction is still there, right? Like, that's the first thing. And the second thing is, I guess, societal harm. Like, if this kind of attitude, or I don't, or let's just say a racist kind of attitude, or whatever, gains steam, that will and it changes like the way people see, for example, black people. That's obviously harmful, right? Like, yeah.
Fine, so why are you assuming the worst? Maybe Frank was making a joke. And logically speaking, he's only insulting the individual MP who just so happens to be part of a marginalized group. In fact, it's up to us to grow thicker skin. If you get offended, that's your fault. People shouldn't need to police their speech. You might recognize this line of reasoning from Reddit edgelords who pride themselves on having extremely offensive humor.
Okay, let's just read it out again. You can't know that for sure. When my leg's broken, I know for sure that I'm not going to be able to move the same. The harm is physical, it's objective, but when someone says they feel offended because something sounds racist, where's the harm? I don't see a bruise. They're just words. Well, you're having a subjective reaction to them, but you can't choose to close the article and ignore what he said. I think we've covered that, right? You can't even access other people's minds, so why are you assuming the worst? Maybe Frank was making a joke, lol. And logically speaking, he's only insulting the individual MP. Okay, maybe Frank was making a joke, lol. Yeah, maybe, but harm doesn't really necessitate an intention, I don't think. Like, yeah, like, my this is a real life example. My brother and I, when we were kids, we would play Wii Sports, and one day we were playing baseball, and he sat too close. I swung the Wii remote and I hit him in the face, and he cried. Like, I did not mean to hurt him, but he was hurt. Like, that's pretty, yeah. So, going from that, even if he was just making a joke, if it's offensive or harmful, that does not matter, right? And logically speaking, he's only insulting the individual MP who just so happens to be part of a marginalized group. In fact, it's up to us to grow thicker skin. If you get offended, that's your fault. People shouldn't need to police their speech. Okay. Yes. So he's only insulting the individual person. I don't know. MP, I guess that's their initials. I'm not sure. Yes, but if he like, this is where I'm iffy on, because it kind of also depends on what your or we're not really talking about racism here. We're talking about offense and harm, right? And whether this is harmful to somebody. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to, in fact, it's up to us to grow thicker skin. I do agree we should grow thicker skin, but at the same time, it's because this is all like my, or at least my goal is productive conversation, right? So it's it's true that if you get offended by everything, the conversation won't be as productive. But at the same time, it's also true that if you make statements that are intentionally or willingly or knowingly offensive, that also doesn't help with productive conversation. So I would say it's on both parties to not be offended, like to grow thicker skin, but also to make sure, or to at least try not to offend people or not to harm people, I guess, with your speech.
There is a point here, though, which again is why most people agree that there is some difference between harm and offense. In general, our tolerance for certain types of offensive material has increased. Telling people to kill themselves is just a casual Sunday morning activity on Twitter. 2024 Twitter would send 2012 Twitter into cardiac arrest because this is how we were moving back then. In contrast, I feel like people today are relatively lax about calling others ugly or just commenting on people's appearance, and there's an expectation to not voice any offense taken on that front. There's a lot we could say about why this has happened. I'm thinking about theories of reclaiming offensive language as a mode of empowerment, or just general desensitization on the internet, but I won't get into that. The point is, I'm not saying you have to ditch your edgy humor. You can continue to tell other people to go kill themselves. I do want us to notice.
For sure. Just to take this back to my last point. For sure, you can at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want, right? And if you think it's funny to make like offensive jokes, which can be funny, or if you're not really interested in productive discourse, you just want to piss people off, I guess that's your prerogative. But if we're trying to create a productive discourse, maybe don't call people the N-word or the F-word or whatever, right? Or maybe, yeah, I don't know, yeah.
Though that it is perfectly compatible to hold the belief that people should ignore offensive statements and that the offender must stop what they're doing. James O. Young gives this analogy, quote, "Sometimes my children, who are normally delightful, tease each other. When this happens, I will tell my son that he ought to ignore his sister and not rise to the bait. This is true, but his sister still ought not to tease him, knowing that he will not like it."
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said before, right? That's pretty much, yeah.
Similarly, there is a presumption that I ought not to engage in an action that will offend others. So you can tell people to toughen up if you also will tell the people spewing offensive shit to shut it. One of the main problems I have with people...
Yeah, pretty much what I said before. That's pretty much... Or if I have not communicated that clearly, this is what I meant.
Obsessed with free speech is that they tend to place the entire burden of responsibility on the person who feels offended. But communication is not a one-way street, and sometimes the shit people say is just bad. More importantly, though, there can be very good reasons to police our speech, even when you don't want to, or when you think the rules for speech are arbitrary. To see why this is...
Yeah, because of rhetoric, right? If you want to have a audience get your point, you might want to think about how you cushion your point, how you bring it across. Yeah.
Let's explore the norms of etiquette.
And I don't like that, or etiquette and rhetoric. Wait, let me just wait. Sorry, too many things at once. Okay. Yeah, I don't like the whole rhetoric thing at all. I'm very I wish people could just communicate directly, and the thing that comes across is just what they've said, but that's not the reality we live in. So we have to think about rhetoric or etiquette, which brings me to my second thing that just popped into my mind before I could make that point. I would like to quickly Google the definitions for etiquette and rhetoric. Definition. Cambridge. Cambridge is pretty good, huh? Okay, etiquette. The set of rules or customs that control accepted behavior in particular social groups or social situations. Then rhetoric. Rhetoric, the definition. Let's go to Cambridge as well. Speech or writing intended to be effective or influence people. Okay. So I guess rhetoric is etiquette is a part of rhetoric, I guess. Okay.
Arbitrary. To see why this is, let's explore the norms of etiquette.
Well, hi, Mary.
Hi. Morning.
How are you? We've missed you.
A cheerful greeting for friends you meet, an inquiry about their welfare, and everyone feels more at ease.
You're buying a cup of coffee. The barista says, "Good morning, how are you?" You say, "I'm doing okay, how about you?" Now, the barista didn't have so hot.
I like that editing. It's really like easy and a bit trashy, but I like it. It's cool. It's like, damn. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's a little more spicy than if she just said it, right? Yeah, I like it.
Ease.
You're buying a cup of coffee. The barista says, "Good morning, how are you?" You say, "I'm doing okay, how about you?" Now, the barista didn't have so hot of a morning. She forgot her Presto card or Metro card, whatever it's called in your city, so she decided to take her chances and commit fare evasion. But of course, the one and only time that she doesn't pay her fare, the fare inspectors come hopping aboard for her terrible, terrible crime of not paying $3.30. She has now been fined.
Okay, so the point is that I'll just let her make the point.
Fined for
I just feel bad. Feel bad letting her talk so long and not transforming the video at all. But yeah.
$125. Good morning. How are you?
Holy shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not too bad. Take care. Why does the barista say this even though she doesn't believe it to be true? She could have not answered the customer, or she could have honestly said, "I'm doing horribly, and I'm too preoccupied with my own problem to care about this interaction." But this seems wrong because the customer can't access the life experiences or inner thoughts of the barista. They have no way of knowing what the intentions are behind her saying, "I'm doing horribly and I don't care about you." The only way to clearly express respect or disrespect, especially in these short 3-second interactions with a complete stranger, is to use publicly recognized practices such as asking someone, "How are you?" We all recognize this phrase as an expression of polite respect, not a literal question.
Yeah, but I don't like. Yeah, see, I don't like that too much. I wish we could just be like, "Hey, hi, okay." Like, if I don't or if you don't care about how I'm doing, and I don't care to tell you how I'm doing it, then why are we doing this whole dance, you know? But I don't know. I guess it's just society for y'all.
Our well-being. Since we live in a society, it's very important that mutual respect is not only there as a foundation, but is clearly communicated. At the same time, we don't want that communication to take too much effort, or else we would never be able to do anything. So instead of telling every stranger, "I acknowledge your dignity as a fellow human being. I have good-hearted intentions towards you," we substitute it with please and thank yous. Essentially, we want a, quote, recognized social currency that's symbolic.
Yeah, but it just seems to me that please and thank you, like the "how are you" without caring and the "I'm good" without meaning it, goes a bit beyond please and thank you. But okay.
Operates as thoughtfulness, but simultaneously alleviates its strains. Thus, we have routine, manageable, predictable practices like saying thank you, holding the door for someone walking behind you, wearing dark clothes to a funeral. And it's not like wearing dark clothes to a funeral has intrinsic worth. But in our social context, it conveys the right attitude towards others, namely an attitude of respect towards a deceased person. That's why if you're invited to a funeral from a different culture where the norm is to wear white, it would be offensive to stick to your own cultural practice of wearing black. You could explain to everyone that you come from a culture where wearing dark clothes to a funeral is respectful, but A, that takes a lot of time and effort, B, who knows if they'll believe you, and C, people are going to wonder why you're so hellbent on being counterculture. It's just clothing color. Again, since we don't have access to people's inner thoughts, isn't it more important to make sure others don't question our respect for a deceased person by...
I'm sorry, I have to go back. I got distracted by the word counterculture, which spawned a song in my head. Okay.
But A, that takes a lot of time and effort. B, who knows if they'll believe you? And C, people are going to wonder why you're so hellbent on being counterculture. It's just clothing color. Again, since we don't have access to people's inner thoughts, isn't it more important to make sure others don't question our respect for a deceased person by externally displaying shared practices of respect? And once we frame the issue that way, it's important to make sure people are going to wonder why you're so hellbent on being counterculture. It's just clothing color. Again, since we don't have access to people's inner thoughts, isn't it more important to make sure others don't question our respect for a deceased person by externally displaying shared practices of respect?
Yeah,
and once we frame the issue that way, it seems clear that those who chafe at so-called woke norms on the ground that they are capricious or unjustified, who object say that there's nothing intrinsically disrespectful about referring to the blacks or asking where a person of apparent Asian on the ground that they are capricious or unjustified, who object say that there's nothing intrinsically disrespectful about referring to the blacks or asking where a person of apparent Asian ancestry is from, and so forth, are often just missing the point. There's nothing intrinsically objectionable about wearing bright colors to a funeral either, but you still shouldn't do it. There are very strong moral reasons to say or not say, to do or not do various things based on our interest in being recognized as equals. What this shows is just as how we have etiquette norms for displaying politeness, we also have what Idelson calls an etiquette of equality. Norms and practices that designate how to signal respect for members of socially subordinated groups, and to avoid affirming derogative attitudes and stereotypes. Just as how there is nothing intrinsically wrong with wearing different colors to a funeral, or not saying thank you, there is nothing intrinsically wrong with calling me a chink. Shout out to that one person in my DMs who calls me a chink every time I post, by the way. But words, phrases, and practices don't exist in a vacuum. They carry sociolinguistic facts, such as facts about who uses or has used them, or the types of discourses they belong to. By choosing to address someone...
Yeah, and again, I wish this wasn't the case. I feel like it would make communication really easy, but that is just how it is, right? Again, society, we create norms as we live them, and the blacks, for example, is something that people who are or had like racist attitudes would use to name to name people, or to refer to people who are of African descent, right? And this changes all the time. Like a couple years ago, or decades, I guess, the word retarded was just a medical term, and then it became like a derogatory term, I guess. Sorry. My words aren't great today. But so we started using the term neurodivergent for people with a neurological disability, right? Which, like, as a neurodivergent myself with my ADHD, I really like that term. I like it a lot because it seems very not nuanced, but like differenziert is the term word. Just give me a sec. Because I don't think the literal translation makes sense. Differenziert. Not in Italian. German. No, English. Differentiate. No. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I like that. Yeah, but I'm sure that in a couple of years or decades that term will be primarily used as a insult, and we'll have to find another term. That's just how language works, right? It's plastic. It changes all the time.
with a slur.
Like queer, the term queer has made the opposite evolution. It was primarily used as, well, originally I think the term queer just meant different, but then it was used to call queer people, to refer to queer people in a derogatory way, and then the queer people have taken that word back, and now it's like probably the most politically correct term to use. So yeah.
That creates an association with a certain community or discourse. Jeff Numberg puts this succinctly when he writes, "Racists don't use slurs because they're derogative. Slurs are derogative because they're the words that racists use." So when a
Yeah, probably that's correct, right? Like the N-word was once upon a time just the way how people would refer to black people, and then at that time most people were racist, and then we kind of moved away from it, but the racist people kept it, so now it's a really racist term. And the N-word is really interesting in the sense that it's what racist people, like racist white people or racist non-black people, but in our hemisphere mostly racist white people, used to refer to black people, but also black people used to refer to themselves in a kind of empowering way, but not like just in a normal way. It's just the N-word is I mean, I don't have to tell you all this because you've heard hip hop before, but the N-word is the word black people use, right? Especially in America. So that's really interesting, that depending on which group you belong to, I guess, it has a really, really different meaning.
bunch of white people wear qipaos or cheongsams, a Chinese traditional dress, like Kirsten Dunst in the first Spider-Man movie, Emma Watson, Paris Hilton, Jennifer Aniston, this girl who wore it to prom. There are Chinese people who get offended not because there is something intrinsically wrong with wearing a certain type of dress, but because of the sociolinguistic facts about this dress and the practice of wearing it. Qipaos got popular in Western fashion because it was perceived as an exotic Oriental piece. Chinese clothes in general carry an exotic otherness, and the Chinese people growing up in the West.
Sorry, I was only half listening. It got me thinking about cultural appropriation because I'm really conflicted on that one too, right? Because on the one hand, I love multiculturalism. I love cultures coming together and like bringing their best aspects, and then it mashes and mixes and mashes, and there's a new culture coming out of it, and I love that shit. It's amazing. But at the same time, we have still terms that come from like the black community or the queer community and have a very distinct meaning there and distinct like place in their language. Hi. My cat just came in. Have a very distinct place in their language, and then non-queer or non-black people use it in a mainstream way and it loses its punch and takes away from the minority group's distinct like way to communicate. Yeah, I don't know. Or like threads, like white people with threads. it's really cool, and at the end of the day, it is just a hairstyle. But at the same time, I do get why some black people don't like white people using or cornrows, right? Which, as far as I know, was like a hairstyle mostly black people or people of color or people with African descent had, because it was cheap, and African hair behaves differently than European hair. But then it became cool and people just used it without really thinking about why people maybe even had to have cornrows. Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
Felt that. When I was younger, I was very embarrassed to wear Chinese cultural clothing to school because I felt like it would make me look like an outsider. I was trying to not be seen as a foreigner. So when Chinese people in China don't feel offended by white women wearing qipaos, it's because they don't feel these sociolinguistic facts that Chinese Canadians and Americans have to be aware of due to our lived experience. To native Chinese folk, maybe it's just a white person wanting to wear a dress. I'm getting a little sidetracked from the main point of the video, but I do want to point out two things. One, native Chinese people get most excited about white people wearing qipaos. White people, because they have adopted colorist and Eurocentric beauty standards over there. Skin whitening, getting double eyelid surgery, heightening our flat Asian nose bridges to be more prominent. It's not uncommon to see white models in China. It's very rare to see darker skinned models. So it's not just that they're excited about sharing their culture. A lot of the times they're excited that they're sharing their culture with white folk. They feel happy that they're getting validation from white folk. Number two is that having white women wear a qipao to prom or the red carpet or an episode of Friends isn't really a sharing of culture. Most of the time, white women wear it because they, quote, simply found a beautiful modest gown and chose to wear it. They chose it because of a certain...
But that's where I'm like, is that bad? I can see why you would conceive it as that, but at the same time, shouldn't we just be allowed to wear or make the like I make music that has a lot of hip hop influences, if it's not in at times like outright hip hop. But that's not because I want to take away from black people or something like that. I like the music and I like making it. It's what naturally comes to me, and it's that it's really difficult. I don't know. Yeah.
This level aesthetic appeal, not actually because they are interested in or appreciative of the culture that lies beneath the clothing. Of course, I'm not trying to disavow the perspectives of native Chinese people. The continuing conflict in opinion is what makes cultural appropriation a fuzzy topic. What we've talked about so far, about offense being towards sociolinguistic facts and not intrinsic worth, helps us figure out why we think some people are just totally unjustified in feeling offended. If you've ever watched the show Community, the character Britta is a classic example of someone who just gets offended without good...
I'm sorry, Community is one of the best shows, at least one of the best sitcoms, if not the best sitcoms I've ever seen. I've seen it like at least 5 times now. I recently rewatched it with a good friend of mine. We're gonna rewatch it again before the movie comes out. It's just fucking amazing, and if you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it. It's holy shit. The fourth season is bad, but don't let that discourage you. The 5th and 6th seasons are good in their own right, even though they're very different than the first 3. But yeah, it's an amazing show.
Reason. She seems to make up sociolinguistic facts that aren't there.
Did you change clothes in front of her? Annie, I know your lack of world experience creates curiosity, but questions like that can make you seem a little bit homophobic.
When people got offended at Alia's interlude for wearing moon boots on the beach, that was silly. Sure, you can be offended on an aesthetic level, but some people gave her lashings like it was a moral crime. Okay, putting that aside, I think we can now revisit the scenario from the beginning of this video. The third student got offended not because there was something logically flawed in the second student's argument. but because there is a derogatory history of comparing same-sex relationships to morally abhorrent practices like bestiality and pedophilia. By choosing to make this comparison,
Yeah, but that's where I'm like, no, this is a debate we're talking about. This is a pretty solid hypothetical. I'm sorry, even though I agree more with the first person than with the second, it's a yeah. It's a solid hypothetical because it makes you think about your position, right? And I don't yeah.
even indirectly, it might signal an affirmation of those past homophobic discourses. It might be a choice to align oneself with that type of community. I want to emphasize the might, because I am by no means saying that we can know the second student endorses homophobia from this one statement. It's not even clear that the second student has done anything wrong. Even if they did say something offensive, that doesn't automatically mean the best course of action is to focus all our anger and effort on that one student. While it's absolutely important to create a safe space for people and to make sure we're thoughtful about the language we use, at what point does a focus on an etiquette of equality prevent us from achieving actual material equality? Idelson and myself are very sympathetic towards upholding an etiquette of equality. I personally try my best to be progressive with my language. I certainly don't want to risk others thinking that I am prejudiced towards them. But an unavoidable consequence of adding more rules to the etiquette of equality is what Idelson calls respect inflation. The bare minimum for being respectful keeps increasing, which creates more opportunities for people to feel offended.
Yeah, for
Quote,
sure.
not only shouldn't you show actual disrespect, you shouldn't even appear to be showing disrespect. But since that is itself a form of disrespect, you also shouldn't even appear to be doing that. That is, you shouldn't even appear to be even appearing to show disrespect, and so on. This draws out the difference between art.
Yeah. And I don't know if that isn't even. It might be a problem. It might be. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Etiquette for politeness and the etiquette of equality. Saying please and thank you is simple. Virtually everyone knows about these norms, and we all have a similar interest in saying please and thank you. But what counts as showing respect for specific identity groups depends on social practices which are constantly changing. It depends on what discourses you're a part of, and different groups will have different interests in.
Yeah. And it depends on where in the world you are, right? Because in Switzerland something might be something that's really offensive in America might be less offensive, and something that's less offensive in America might be more so. It's
using certain language. I want to hear you say thank you just as much as you want to hear me say thank you. By contrast, because I'm online and am aware of incels, referring to women as females has taken on a new level of meaning that many offline academics are unaware of. They have no interest in avoiding the word females because they're embedded in a different discourse. So to account for all these differences, to avoid offending the greatest number of people, while also being alert to as many bigots as possible, it will necessarily involve an exaggeration or inflation of what things signify. For example, when people wear a pin of the American flag, on one level it's just an expression of patriotism or an identification with being American. Though it can be hard to conceive of in our current political climate, it is possible.
Yeah, this is interesting as well, because Schuenhead, who is, I would say, firmly on the left center at least, has an American flag in her background, like very, very prominently. If a Swiss YouTuber made a video and had a Swiss flag in their background, they would immediately be seen as right wing, or at least center right, because a left wing creator or a left wing person would never hang up a Swiss flag, because patriotism is much less a thing around here, like universally, I guess. Yeah.
to be patriotic and to believe that one's country is awfully unequal and unjust. Someone can be patriotic because they believe their country should be and can be way better than how it currently is. But nonetheless, it is a social fact that there is a correlation between people who wear American flag pins and people who hold a particular politically conservative view of what patriotism is. Quote,
Yes, yeah, for sure, but much less so than here, again. In Switzerland, I mean. Or in Europe. No, I don't know about, like, Italy or Hungary or whatever. But, like in Germany, if you have a German flag behind you, that's really weird. Actually, that's really weird because nobody would. I don't think so. I think the hardcore rightists in Germany would have like a swastika or a old like German, like the black and red one, I think, or something like that, like the old one. But just German flag, I don't think anybody rips the German flag. I don't think so. And like with patriotism, for me, I'm not a patriotic person at all. I do like our political system, for those who might watch this in the future, because nobody's watching right now. But and don't know, Switzerland has we have like not elections, but we call them initiatives, where every 3 months we have the opportunity to decide on new laws or new ways to spend money or whatever. Like if there's a new school to be built in a city, then the city can vote on that. If we can vote on whether we want more money to buy a military jet or whatever, like every 3 months. And I love that. That's amazing. But I don't feel pride for that, really. I might feel pride for participating in that system and upholding that system, but not in being in a country that has that system. Yeah, I kind of lost my point. Let's just go on. But yeah.
For me to wear the pin could thus furnish evidence about my views on any number of issues.
Yeah, but at the same time, fucking Biden has one right here, right? Do you see my cursor? I hope so. Like, this is an American flag pin, right? I don't know if you see my cursor, but you know, on his right.
That I favor the mandatory pledge of allegiance in schools, that I disapprove of the athletes
I do not like that at all, but you know.
who have taken to kneeling during the pledge, and so on. An observer who thinks that I know this, moreover, may take my choice not only as evidence of these other views, but as an effort on my part to signal them. So if I do not want to evoke or endorse these additional resonances, that gives me a substantial reason for eschewing the flag pin, even if I feel a great deal of patriotism and would prefer, all else equal, to express it in this customary way. I'm not trying to be an apologist for patriots, but an etiquette of equality does mean that some forms of expression are off the table unless you want to risk signing disrespect, and that is a genuine restriction. I want to be clear that highlighting these difficulties with communicating respect for identity groups is not to erase the fact that there are strong moral reasons to avoid offending others. I am not endorsing the edgelord path of intentionally offending others so that they toughen up and we can just use whatever slurs we want. The issue isn't even about fragile.
I mean, I used to be like that, but it used to be like a long time ago, like 5-6 years ago, if not more. But yeah, okay.
Snowflakes who are easily triggered. Those metaphors focus us on a person's tolerance for a given magnitude of insult or injury, but respect inflation is probably better seen as describing a change in what is being done to a person, not in their own constitution. If more and more behaviors come to be reasonably taken as evidencing a speaker's lack of respect for you, that amounts to the barbs getting sharper or more numerous, not your skin getting thinner. Again, the barista says, "Good morning, how are you?" and "Have a great day," even when they really had no motivation to, because it is important to clearly signal our respect for others. We don't want to make respect an ambiguous puzzle. Similarly, there are good reasons to think about what parading around an American flag will mean to others, even if you aren't actually racist.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And here I'm gonna pause for a second again because I need to pee again. Because I guess I have a tiny blood there. See you in a sec. Okay, I'm back. Hi there. Uh, how is everybody in chat doing? Right, we don't have anybody in chat. Okay. uh, I sound salty when I say these things, but it's like, on the one hand, sure, it would be nice to have some people watching, right? But because I am just kind of screaming into the void here, but at the same time, I'm not. I do this because it's interesting to me. Okay. I should stop talking. It doesn't. Okay, whatever.
What's the answer? Etiquette of equality? Good, bad, being offended, justified or unjustified? Here's the unsatisfying answer. I think it's extremely important to uphold an etiquette of equality, to be critical of the words we use and how we express ourselves to others. For example, the shift from saying slaves to enslaved persons is impactful because there is tons of research backing how the structure
Has that happened? I didn't know that. Okay.
and how we express ourselves to others. For example, the shift from saying slaves to enslaved persons is impactful because there is tons of research backing how the structure of language affects how we think about people. So instead of making enslavement define the whole person, we use language to represent the state of enslavement as separate from the person.
Oh, so it's like instead of saying he's an autist, we say he's on the autism spectrum. Okay. That makes sense, for sure.
But there is a real cost of making offense more common. It's not pleasant to feel offended. When it's harmful, it will set back our interests. Sometimes it makes us think people hate us, even when they don't. I mean, that's what's so frustrating about the internet. In general, Twitter and TikTok seem to care more about calling people out for sounding offensive than about the actual outcomes of doing the call out. Otherwise, why do they seem incapable of thinking in degrees? In fact, if your activism extends only to this communicative realm, equality becomes reduced to a symbolic show. Being mindful of our language and practices is important, but doing actual on-the-ground work like protesting, donating, building community with real people is probably more impactful. Sharing infographics with your oomphs doesn't count. I saw this tweet the other day by this user called 4, which said, dating bi guys is cute till you talk about getting married and having kids in the future, and suddenly the air smells like he'd be so much happier with a girl. I read this as 4 revealing his own anxieties about not being able to have a gay marriage and family because marriage and family are so heavily associated with heteronormativity. To my surprise,
yeah, but at the same time, he could probably find a gay guy who would be down for that, right? So it's not, I don't know. But then we're talking, then it's like, okay, so bi guys are only an option for gay men for like short term, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
There were so many people calling him out for being biphobic. I can see where it comes from. Like, if you squint hard enough, the tweet is describing a negative feeling that involves a bi person liking men and women. But I think we should put our reading comprehension caps on and see that.
I agree with this take. I would just be curious if she had the same reaction if that person, for example, said dating black guys is fun and all until you talk about and you realize they would rather be with a black person. If somebody said that, would she have the same reaction? I'm not sure. Would I have? I'm not sure. Because it does kind of uphold the stereotype that black people or I don't know if that's even a stereotype, but you know that yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll just keep it going, if that's okay with y'all.
Men and women. But I think we should put our reading comprehension caps on and see that the negative feeling the tweet describes is not caused by the guy being bi. Even if you still had doubts though, a quick look through the replies shows 4 publicly defending bi folk against biphobia. They're good to have fun with, but not to be in a relationship with. To which 4 said, well, no, let's not turn them into a kink. What the fuck? They are people. Personally,
glad he
I'd never
said
date a
that.
bi guy. I mean, hello, double the competition and temptation. To which 4 said, that is not love if you don't even trust your partner not to cheat, lol. Work
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Someone else said, get 'em. To which 4
I fucking love to work on that. Yeah. Do work on that, please. Holy shit. To everybody out there, fucking okay. My girlfriend and I semi-recently, it was in April and it's already July now, so I guess it wasn't that. But we broke up after having been together for 5 years, but that's not the point. When we got together, I was like really insecure, and stemming from that insecurity was jealousy, obviously, because that's, you know. But throughout the years, I found myself not really being like being very much like she can do whatever she like. Of course I never limited in her in what she was able to do, but I felt bad if she, for example, like she wanted to meet her ex-boyfriend really early on in our relationship, and I felt really bad about that. And later on I would just develop this attitude of man, she's with me and she wants to be with me, and if she does something with somebody else, then it wasn't there were other problems and it wasn't meant to be anyway. And I feel like people need to develop that attitude. They need to work on that. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry for the tension. Doesn't really matter to the point of the video or to even this. All I wanted to say is I really like that. Work on that. Because you can work on it, and you should. Because it's not something that's fair to your partner or anybody.
replied, there is no one to get. This is not a call-out tweet. The fact that many people either disregarded 4's clear disapproval of biphobia or just didn't bother to look for more context about the tweet just shows how there are some people who care about signaling their moral superiority rather than actually combating harmful, offensive content. Okay, as I was going through this video, I feel like I was too definite on this part. This tweet here makes a reasonable point that although 4's intention wasn't to be biphobic,
Sorry, I was reading it. I'll read it aloud. Y'all need to deal with the biphobia, cause as bisexuals, even if this post is venting, it's so tearing to see hit tweets that paint bis as bad guys and the comments being biphobic. Even if it's unintentional, y'all are making spaces for biphobes. Yeah. Aside from the painful spelling and the painful lack of punctuation, I think I agree with that point. Yeah.
created the opportunity for people to voice their biphobia, which is true, hence why 4 had to respond to biphobic views under his tweet. I think this just perfectly shows the great complexity of interpreting language. Any mention of finding bi relationships difficult because bi people can be
You guys turning this into a biphobia think piece is annoying as fuck, by the way, considering this is my own personal experience with gender dysphoria and my past relationships, feeling like I was robbing him of something he wanted and deserved. Get your heads out of your asses. Okay.
respond to biphobic views under his tweet. I think this just perfectly shows the great complexity of interpreting language. Any mention of finding bi relationships difficult because bi people can be in heterosexual relationships may carry a sociolinguistic fact. It is a fact that there is a social pattern of biphobia arising as complaints about bi people being unfaithful or being straight people cosplaying as gay. But some people will find this in 4's tweet and find it offensive, and others won't. Similarly, the third student saw a certain sociolinguistic fact about gay relationships in the second student's reductio. But not everyone will. What and when sociolinguistic facts become apparent to us is varied, depending on our lived experience and our sensitivity to the etiquette of equality. Too long didn't read? Communication is hard.
Yes, it is.
Upholding
It is, and it especially is. I'm sorry, it especially is to neurodivergent people. Because they, at least autistic and ADHD people. Sorry, I've read a lot about autism, and I have a person close to me that is on the autistic spectrum, and I myself have ADHD, and we have a hard time with the hidden communication between, like, reading between the lines. I don't know about other forms of neurodivergism, I don't know. But yeah. But that's an aside. It's hard for everybody, I guess.
etiquette of equality can also come into tension with building solidarity between various groups. And solidarity is very important for practical, on-the-ground change. For example, suppose you're a teacher and you're trying to get your students to have a discussion about abortion. They have a diverse range of opinions. The discussion can already get sidetracked in numerous ways. Now, the teacher, being progressive, wants to use the term persons capable of pregnancy because they don't want to exclude trans and gender diverse communities. But from a practical standpoint, they also don't want to alienate students with more conservative viewpoints who already don't really want to talk about abortion, or to draw attention to trans discourse rather than abortion, which again is already a loaded topic. The teacher might hope to change the minds of these more conservative students, in which case using the word women would be more palatable. Quote, the teacher is trying to convince students with diverse views that they are engaged in a common discursive project, and that even unpopular ideas will be met with respect rather than derision. Yet, the emergence of etiquette-like norms that make the choice of language here a significant test of the speaker's attitudes towards transgender people, while also overdetermining the meaning of the prescribed choice, seems to eliminate any such symbolic middle ground. A difficulty with etiquette is that there is really no middle ground. If I say please and thank you, that is polite. If I don't say please and thank you, that is impolite. If the teacher says persons capable of pregnancy,
What if you just say please but not thank you?
that signifies an affiliation with gender progressive discourse. If the teacher says women, that signifies the opposite. These are all really tough situations that I don't have a good solution to. I know, I'm useless. But perhaps we can start by being reminded of the fact that identity groups are not monoliths. There are different opinions and different practices within racialized groups, within queer groups,
I agree, but has that point really been expressed so far in this video?
in disabled communities. Sometimes people will disagree about whether new practices and terms actually are helpful or not. So there isn't one universal etiquette of equality that everyone uses. Moreover, maybe if we gave people more opportunities to explain themselves, then we would be less prone to assuming the worst.
Yeah.
For example,
Fucking, that's a great point. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
is a legal scholar who works a lot on racial conflict. He sometimes refers to the Black community with more traditional terms like colored folk, blacks, and this word. We might take this to signal an affiliation with politically conservative stances on race. He's just another Larry Elder. However, Kennedy explains that he does this to resist thinking that only one term can be the correct way to refer to the Black community. He uses traditional names for Black folk. He also uses some modern progressive ones. For him, there is no universal perspective that can represent an entire community's opinion. Whether you agree with him or not, at least with his explanation, we get a better sense of what he actually stands for. Most importantly, though, it's crucial to recognize that at the heart of the
letting people explain, letting people expand, but also doing that is crucial. I do believe that. If the goal is effective communication, if the goal is productive discord, then we get back to the both sides are kind of we need both sides to work towards that goal, meaning we need the one side to communicate clearly, but we also need the other side not to judge prematurely, I guess. Yeah.
And the difficulties associated with the etiquette of equality are the systemic injustices that people face. The problem is ultimately not with the restrictions we face in an effort to be woke. Systemic injustices make an etiquette of equality necessary. In a social context characterized by plainly visible, yawning gaps in both opportunity and recognition, it makes perfect sense that members of subordinated groups and avowed allies would be drawn to, and then keenly sensitive to, the use of our respect communicating practices to situate oneself relative to those glaring inequalities. So, insofar as the escalation of the etiquette of equality may be regrettable, the lion's share of the blame rests with the systemic injustices that make that escalation illogical and possibly inevitable.
I'm sorry, what? All of that, none of
Ultimately
that,
not with the
none of that entered my brain. I'm sorry.
restrictions we face in an effort to be. With his explanation, we get a better sense of what he actually stands for. Most importantly, though, it's crucial to recognize that at the heart of the ambiguity and the difficulties associated with the etiquette of equality are the systemic injustices that people face. The problem is ultimately not with the restrictions we face in an effort to be woke. Systemic injustices make an etiquette of equality necessary. In a social context characterized by plainly visible, yawning gaps in both opportunity and recognition, it makes perfect sense that members of subordinated groups and avowed allies would be drawn to, and then keenly sensitive to, the use of our respect communicating practices to situate oneself relative to those glaring inequalities. So, insofar as the escalation of the etiquette of equality may be regrettable, the lion's share of the blame rests with the systemic injustices that make that escalation a logical and possibly inevitable response.
Okay.
Please be respectful in the comments. Make sure you're signaling your respect with etiquette.
Well, I hope I was respectful. I think I was. I hope so. If not, sorry, I guess. Yeah, I should no. See? Oh my god. There we go. The I guess part of that was can be seen as dismissive. And I do not want to be dismissive. I hope I am and I was respectful. If anybody sees this and thinks I wasn't, then tell me. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah.
As usual, sources are linked down below. Thank you so much for watching. Let's keep talking, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye!
Well, thank you all for watching. I don't really want to stop streaming yet, although it's already 3. But I kind of want to do something. I don't feel like setting up my whole keyboard and everything to make music right now. So I'm just gonna go to efap highlights and hope we'll have something a little bit more fun to react to as well, and something where I can smoke my joint here, because it's my cousin and I hanged out last night and we smoked. You know, we like smoking, but we didn't finish the last joint, and it's still here and it's smiling at me like, come on, smoke me, and I would really like to. So I'm sorry, I'm so rambly. I was gonna say tonight, but I always am. I said that I would try and take a Ritalin for the stream, but it was really late, so I didn't. But maybe next stream. Okay, but let's go to efap highlights, see if we can or if I find something to react to. It's a bit more fun. Maybe not like an hour long or 2 or 3. Okay. Videos. And I'll just clear my RAM because my computer is really slow. free up RAM. Okay. Okay, let's do Wilford Brimley Alive and Wilford Brimley Ascended. And then we'll see if there's anything else. We'll go back here.
Oh no! I hope I find myself.
I think you were
So
found.
that's a really like a deep
Oh, this is the
philosophical
really
kind of
cool image that we've talked about before, I think. It's so you got
Yeah.
Wait, before we do this, I'm gonna get a mate. Yerba mate. To because I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm back. I got here El Tony Mate and mint with mint flavor. Oh wait, I didn't shut my door and my roommate's sleeping, so I'll do that real quick. Okay, so I have here El Tony Mate. El Tony is the brand with mint flavor, which I like. My favorite mate we get in Switzerland here is the same brand but with ginger flavor. But holy shit. But fucking hell, when I was in New York, they had a insane like palette of mates with like blueberry and grapefruit and everything. Like I'm sorry, I was trying to change the title on the stream itself and on the screen, and I called it reacting to efap mate. Okay, no, it's reacting to efap highlights. I'll just leave the black bar as it is. It's way too big, but it's not. That's what it is. No, they had so many different mates. It was insane. It was yeah. It was pretty cool. But you know, the choices we have in Switzerland are pretty cool too. But holy shit, in New York it was insane. Also the because I don't eat meat, but I love like the vegetarian options for meat. I know people don't. You know, people don't. Some people don't feel like us vegetarians should eat like meat options, but I love it. And the vegetarian Like the vegetarian burgers, like the Impossible burgers. Holy shit! Whoa, those are insane, and I'm heartbroken that we can have those in Switzerland, but you know, what can you do? Okay, let's Wilford Brimley alive.
Got Wilford
Hope I find my. Oh no! I hope I find myself.
I think you were
So
found.
that's a really like a deep
Oh, this is the
philosophical
really
kind of
cool image that we've talked about before, I think. It's so you got
Yeah.
you got Wilford Brimley, who famously says diabetes. And with the X you've got
wow, look at that.
first you might think it's the same guy, but in the X is diabito.
They fit together so well.
It's a really good picture.
Wow, that's actually crazy. They really do. Their faces are. That's almost like the same person. Just
And I will
without the
say
glasses.
this: Diet Bob, Diabito has a better mustache than Wilford Brimley in terms of grooming. By the looks of this picture,
Yeah.
just saying.
I guess
saying.
so.
Like Rags, what do you think?
Is
Okay,
Wilford Brimley still alive?
That's the
Oh god. I think this was like not okay, we'll see. This is episode 60, right? I think they found they talked about this and then not like maybe a month or two later Wilford Brimley died.
question people ask. Yes, he is. Red Letter Media often are shocked by this because he was an old man like 30 years ago.
I'm lighting
he's
my
still
chat
alive.
Wilford
now.
Brimley is 85. He is currently alive.
I can't believe that he's alive, but
Diabetes.
he's got
Yes. All right.
diabetes.
Guess how tall Wilford Brimley is.
7'1".
Wolf?
I'm guessing 5'4".
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
He's-
guessing and I'm going with meters here because I don't do empirical at all. I'm guessing 172 centimeters.
5'8".
So I was
Wow.
He's a
racist.
short man. Yeah.
Okay,
he's not
what
a-
is 5'8" in normal meters to feet? Yeah. Meters to, okay. 5'8". 5.8. 176, 177 if you round it correctly. Okay, that's not that I was not that far off.
Tallman.
Woohoo! He's shorter than me.
He's a wide man though. Oh wait, when it
He was
says
in the
height,
thing.
oh, I thought just make sure that wasn't.
He's not shorter than me.
It always
He-
surprises me that he was in the thing. I'm always like, shit, man, he was in the thing.
He's still taller than Tom Cruise.
Hey, man, Tom Cruise is in some good ass movies like Mission
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise
Impossible
is
Fallout.
5'7".
Tom Cruise is a short man.
He is a short man.
How
He
tall
really
are
is.
you, Rags?
Okay, what's
How what?
5'7"? Five seven. 5.7. 173, that's my height. I'm the same height as a bit taller than a bit
How
taller.
tall are you?
How tall am I?
Oh god, here we go.
Yes.
I don't.
Oh,
I
God.
don't.
Oh no.
I kind of. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm
Oh.
tall. Well, you measure me at the shoulders, about
Oh shit.
17, 18 inches.
How
You're
tall
3
is your
feet tall.
human?
I'm sorry. Also, I just realized that my window is cuts off like half of their Discord circles. I thought I had it down. Okay, I'll do that for next time. It's really annoying, the cropping system that OBS has. It's really bad.
How tall is my human? Oh, he's like 5'10".
Oh,
How tall are you, Wolf? I forgot.
5'10".
So I believe
Sure.
Fringy is the tallest of the long men. I
Oh
am,
yeah.
Ringy's a fucking giant.
How tall
Fringy
is
sways
Fringy?
in the wind when there's a strong
He's
breeze.
well, he's 6'5". I'm 6'4". So
Okay,
me and Fringy would be
6'5",
one.
6'4". I should stop closing the tab. Feet to meters. I tech type, by the way. Fuck y'all. 6.4 is holy shit. And 6.5. Holy shit. I think my uncle is 6'4". 6'5 is, but I'm 175, which is 75. 5'7", 5'7", I guess. Wait, what was? Okay, I'm 5'7". Okay, 175. But as a kid, there's this thing where apparently you can X-ray your hand to tell you how tall you are, and my mom made me do that, and then it said I would grow up to be 6'4", 195. I guess I drank too much Coke as a kid. Did I say drank? I guess I drank too much Coke as a kid, or started smoking weed too early, or whatever. People disagree about that. But I'm missing like 20 centimeters, which would be 0.65 feet. And I'm pissed. I'm really pissed. But, okay.
Are you so tall too?
What? 6'2".
What is in the water in Welshland, wherever you're from?
Well, Friggy's from Australand, so obviously whatever's in my water is in his water as well. But
Oh my
that's what it is.
goodness. Everyone's like Ranks is a man. Like, no, I'm 5'10". That's not short.
You know how
5'10", 5'10", 5'10". I'm sorry, I'm really invested in these heights. I don't really care usually. 5.10. Okay, let's go with 99. I think DuckDuckGo doesn't really. 180. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
works?
182.
Women say anything
That's
below
pretty
6
good.
foot automatically disqualifies
average
you.
male height, 5 feet 9 inches. I am 1 inch above average.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
what Jeremy says about his penis, above average penis.
I have an above
Luckily-
average penis.
Hmm.
That's where it
In
matters.
looks or in
Yeah, fuck
in
the average guy.
He's
Like-
like, well, it's a lot bigger than average.
Manlets BTFO. That's disgusting. Jay, how tall
I'm
are
not-
you? Are
I'm
we all
literally
taller than our
above-
manager? Oh yeah, by the
I mean,
way, I
look
just want to
how-
clarify, I can extend myself to thousands of feet at will, obviously.
Yeah, of course. He's the long man, right?
Destiny is 5'8".
I love you.
5'8". 5'8". I just remembered that I can do Command C to get my tab back. 5'8". 176, that's not that bad.
Bring that up.
I just thought of short people and he came to mind.
That's not
What
short.
are you short people as shortmans? How could you say it like
That's
that?
not
so
short. I'm
offensive.
sorry. I know I have personal stake in that, but that's not short. 1 point below average, that's not short. I'm sorry.
Jay, how tall are you? Should we all put bets on it before you?
I'm
Inch,
gonna-
not 1
I'm
foot.
gonna
1
guess
inch.
410.
Oh, he's six
That's
foot.
6.
Oh, his birthday
No,
was
he's
2 days
not.
ago.
He's lying.
Jay, honestly, I would have guessed 5 foot.
Jay,
before
you are
6
not.
foot.
Yeah, but you're like a lanky 6
182.
feet. You're.
Oh yeah,
you're,
dude, if he's 6 foot,
you
he's
have
got
to
to be
put
lanky
rocks
as
in your
hell.
pockets when it's windy outside, so you don't blow away.
I feel like you could like punch him and you would break in half.
You're
That's so
like
mean.
he's like Gumby, where he's really
That's so
thin but he's
mean.
tall. Y'all OGs in the chat remember Gumby?
Okay, I'm sorry. I love efap and everything, but do they feel threatened by the well, Mahler wouldn't, but Rax. Does Rax feel threatened by this? Kind of feels like he does.
Am I the only motherfucker here who's talking about Gumby and everyone else is quiet because they don't remember Gumby?
I don't know who the fuck you're
Wolf,
talking
Wolf,
about.
is
You
he
don't know
okay?
about Gumby?
No.
It sounds
Oh
like
my
something you just
God.
made up.
No, it isn't. Here, I'm
Y'all
gonna
know
show
about
Gumby.
Gumby?
Yo, but Gumby was a real thing. He had a horse for a friend. I can't believe he had a horse for a friend.
Oh my god, poor
I
Gumby,
remember
dude.
this. I actually remember this. This is the because a dude dressed up as this for his dog, and his dog went crazy.
Poor Gumby. It's a horse
You
for
know
a
who
friend.
Gumby is? This is from like the 50s and 60s.
Fuck, you're old, Rags. I don't know.
No, I'm not an old man.
You're like
Nor am I a
70
short
years
man.
old, I guess.
I just need people.
Sorry, whoa. I don't know who Gumby is. Gumby, let's Google that actually. We have the power of Google at our fingertips. DuckDuckGo in my case, but as far as I know, Gumby. As far as I know, DuckDuckGo uses Google's database. Or whatever. I'm not a tech guy, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know what this creature is. There was something else I wanted to say. Wow, I'm high. Okay, interesting. Hi Gumby. Yeah, I completely forgot what I wanted to say.
Thank you, person in chat. Thank you, Ramo Greywolf.
How could
Who-
someone
who-
said I
who
legit live under a
remembers
rock
Gumby?
because I don't know what Gumby is? How could you say that when Jay is here?
Gumby's made out of clay. That's like his thing.
Jumbo is clay? How the fuck? Why is it was a TV show a clay character? How many of those were there? Oh, stop motion was great.
Yeah,
I miss
man.
Stop motion. Did either of you guys?
Did y'all know? Have you ever seen Pingu? Did you guys know that Pingu? If you've ever seen like some Pingu, I think my dad told me this because he grew up not too far from it. This is Pingu. I hope y'all know who he is. I think it was referenced back in like 2017, 2018 when all the big film YouTubers at the time would make like videos about their childhood trauma. I think somebody mentioned the scene where Pingu Walrus. This mentioned this as their like nightmare as a kid, right? Okay, anyway, I think Pingu was filmed. Let me actually fact check that. In Switzerland. Not too far from where my dad grew up. All Wikipedia. Yeah, Swiss British. Can we change the language? Why is it in English? Why is it in German? CDE. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's country. Yeah. Pingu Wikipedia. Here. English. Pingu is an animated preschool children's series co-created by Ottmar Gutmann and Erika Brückemann that first aired in Switzerland. It was produced from 1990 to 2000 by Swiss companies, the Pygos Group, originally called Editoy AG, then later Pingu BV, and Pingu Film Studio, originally Trickfilmstudio, in Switzerland. It was later revived by a British company. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, but it was made in Switzerland. But, okay, wait. My dad grew up in... my dad was born in 68. So, this was filmed from 1990. So, he would have been 22. Okay. I mean, I guess. Okay. Where's the theme song? Do we have the theme song somewhere? I guess not. Okay. But yeah. Pingu? I don't know. Oh, because it was claymation. Yeah. It was made. Yeah, it was claymation. That's how we got here.
Coraline.
I never finished it.
That's good shit. That's good shit.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or efap.
efap, by the way. I'll just tell my story with efap for a second. So in 2017, mid to late 2017, I found Rax because of a video he made about PewDiePie. So I found him and I started watching him. Then when Justice League came out, or maybe a little bit later, I found Wolf because he had made a video about Justice League when it came out. And I saw that movie in the theaters because I always knew that it was bad, but I really liked Batman vs Superman, and I still kind of like watching that movie. It's bad, but you know, it is what it is. So that's why I watched Justice League, and that's why I saw that video. So I started watching him afterwards, and then in early 2018, I found Mahler's critique videos on The Last Jedi. Because even though I didn't go watch that movie, it was like a big thing, and I was into film YouTube at the time, and you know, that's how I found all of them. Then they would start streaming together, and then they would started out doing efap, and so all of that happened live, and I've watched it ever since. It has helped me through a hard time in my life. Just, you know, having something to watch, having something to think about. And it has informed me on, even though I don't agree with them all the time, and there's things I do see differently, they've started me on my journey of, or yeah, I guess they made me think about a lot of stuff, on like how I see life, how I see art as well, objectivity in art, even though I don't like using that word too much because it's what we've talked about, or what I've talked about earlier in the stream with, you know, rhetoric, and it just alienates a lot of people. But yeah, and I've watched it ever since, and I don't like everything they do. I disagree with them, but it's something I would like to watch a lot. Okay, I was thinking about letting the outro play, but I'll just sum it up. efap streams on Mahler's channel, usually on Saturdays, but you know, there's fluctuations as well. Then they go over to the live streams. They stream on Mahler's channel, but they then get put on unlisted and re-uploaded to Mahler's second channel, Mueller. They talk about film and TV and video games and just art and media in general. They used to always, now they sometimes react to videos, or when they don't react to videos, they break down movies or whatever, just, you know, games and whatever. They made a pretty good episode on a lot of stuff. They had a pretty good episode recently. I'm trying to think. And I'm put on the spot. What was recent? Now this ad just turned bad, huh? Well, whatever. Muller. Oh yeah, their episode from last week was pretty good, where they reacted to an interview from the by the showrunner for The Acolyte. That was pretty interesting. And then beside their mainline episodes, they also make like reactions to movies or TV shows. They currently have running The Acolyte as reactions to, a TV show. They also have running their war movies arc, where they react to like movies that take place in the, I guess, the before times. Like they react to 300, but they also react to a lot of medieval movies that just in some sort of or another involve war. I really like their Jingle All the Way and their Home Alone reactions, amongst others. Yeah, that's kind of what they do. I like it a lot. Yeah. Okay. I'll go to the bathroom again, and then we'll react to the second Wilford Brimley video, and then I think I'm gonna stop the stream there. Hello, I'm back. Okay. We'll react to the second video, and then I'm gonna end the stream.
Y'all better be fucking with us. What is this in chat?
Oh, okay, so like 30 episodes later, that would be like a bit more than half a year. Okay, I thought it was more.
One minute.
Okay.
Oh, you fucking kidding me?
What? You gonna see
Tell
it?
you what.
Let's see. No way!
Sorry. Whoa.
No!
How? No. But today, no. No. Oh no. How is this possible? He chugs along for 85 fucking years and he just happens to die now? No. No.
Whoa.
Something ain't right here. Something's on. There's some shenanigans going on here.
Like, seriously? I feel like I'm being trolled by the universe. This can't be real.
Yeah. That must feel
It is
fucking
TMZ. Are they
insane.
reliable? I don't know.
I think so for some. I feel like something like this would be hard to fake and get away with. I'm just like, wow. Wow.
Man, I saw this. Like, I listened to this. I think, like, 93. That would be... Yeah. I listened to this not while it was live, because I think I already went to bed when this part happened. But then next week I will listen to this, like at work or in school. I'm not quite sure what it was. Could have been school, maybe. Doesn't matter. I listened to this, and I was like, what's the problem? And because they haven't even said it yet, right? Because I was just listening to this. I didn't have the screen on, and I was like, what are they talking about? Because I couldn't look at my screen, right? Yeah.
This actually upset me.
That's kind of insane. Wow. I made a Wilford Brimley is alive joke this stream.
Yeah.
And sure
Okay.
fucking enough.
I think this is where I must have gotten it.
Wow.
What do you, like, what can you even say? We created a meme, like, a month ago, all about how he can't be killed.
Huh.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
I actually, like, thought there was a possible chance, because he's so, like, upbeat on Twitter, that we could actually have him on efap in some way, shape, or form, just as, like, a meme.
A dream.
Oh no. That must feel so
That is
weird,
lame, man.
Like making that joke, just making it joke, right? And then it's like, nope, sorry, he died. Is it not centered, by the way? Okay, this is better. I'm sorry. I hope it wasn't like that for the whole stream.
Wonder if I... Ooh.
That wasn't me, that was smaller.
Well, my Twitter's gonna be filled with stuff about this.
I'm
Remember when
upset.
people cared about Twitter? I don't know when was the last time somebody mentioned Twitter without like extreme negativity about it.
Yeah.
I do. I am upset.
And granted, even at this time, the references to it were mostly negative, but like sometimes it was like just neutral, but that doesn't, like, the only times I see Twitter mentioned at all is like when people talk about a shitstorm, like at all, not even like mostly, like at all, like close to 100%.
Yeah, the last thing he said on Twitter was 2 days ago. See, the last tweet he put out was him acknowledging his favorite suggested names of being a wrestler. And they include the Underquaker, the Brimstone, Kilford Brimley, and the Diabeestus. Awesome.
That's fucking amazing. I don't know much about Wilford Brimley, but he seemed he seems to have been pretty cool, I guess. That's pretty.
Oh man.
Like,
I'm sorry, can we quickly highlight this comment by Atreya, I don't know. Tomorrow's headline: efap's toxicity has killed Wilford Brimley. Racism. Come on. Do you have to insert your agenda everywhere? Like, here's a situation that's really fucking weird to handle with, right? You make a meme about a person who seems to have been living forever, and then I don't know, a couple of months later they die, right? And that's a person you kind of respected as well, it seems. Then they just die, and you're like left with this, like, that's fucking weird and sad and everything. And then some fucking asshole in chat has to be like, ooh, but let's make this about my political beliefs. Like, that's disgusting. I'm sorry. What the fuck is wrong with you? Ugh.
Again, I just can't get over the cosmic fucking coincidence. It's kind of nuts.
I'll go back. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to trash the person who wrote the comment here. I don't know if they still believe this, and even if they do, I don't know what kind of person they are. Maybe they're usually like really cool. But I just don't like this kind of, I hate this kind of, like, I need to insert my political beliefs or my disdain towards people who believe the opposite or a different thing. I need to insert that into everything. I just don't like that. And it seems really inappropriate here. Yeah. I guess that's like what the last video was, or second last, the first video we watched today was kind of talking about, right? Like, that doesn't signal respect really at all. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll carry on. That sucks.
I guess.
And
Somehow, if we can.
I mean, 85. It's a strong age. At the very least, he got to do a shit ton. But it's still unfortunate. It's insane. He got diabetes in 1979, or at least that's what I just read. It could be inaccurate, but
That's
he makes it seem like it's not a big deal to get diabetes, honestly.
yeah, I mean, he champed it, and he was totally on board with the whole like raising awareness stuff for it. So
yeah. Right. Yeah.
do buy to death. It's not like we can fucking meme people to death. That's never been the fucking red light media are probably gonna have to acknowledge this. They'll be upset about it.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or efap. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame.
Well, not literally, but yeah. They go through it. Like, their average episode length is like I think like 7 hours, something like that. So yeah.
Subscribe to the efap channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not so greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to efap highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.
Okay. Thanks for watching, if anybody in the future does. I'm gonna end it here. Just a couple things. I have a song coming out pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. I'm still working on my album. I have a day job now, but I'm still working on my album and shit. No ETA on that yet, but I'm working on it. Still working on the Loki video as well. Well, I haven't as that much in the last couple months, but I'll pick it up again pretty soon. I do want to. It's just, with finding a job and everything, and now having a job, and it's not always easy to make time, especially with ADHD and the executive dysfunction that comes with it. But I'm working on strategies. I'm working on doing better on the upfront again. So yeah, I'll be working on all that. It's coming out at some point. I'll try and stream more again because I do like doing it, and I hope I also hope maybe we'll find some people watching in the future, because it would be nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, hopefully be back soon. Have a good night.